Call the meeting of July 19th of the Ascension Parish Council to order. Please rise. Ms. Fontenot, would you please lead us in prayer and then followed by the pledge?
Father, we do thank you tonight for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon Ascension Parish. We thank you for the privilege of serving the people of this parish. We thank you for our armed forces that are abroad fighting for our freedoms. We thank you for this month that we celebrate freedom in the United States. And we thank you that we have favor and love from above. In Jesus' name we pray, as always. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move now to Chair's additions. I do not have any additions before me, but I do have a couple of requests. One from Marcedo dealing with the agenda item number 17C, which is under the grants. This is really a cleanup item, and he will explain that. We would like to move that to the utilities, and it would fall under utilities 8B.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Hillensbeck, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion on that movement? None, so we'll move that. Any objections? The other one is a request from the Mr. Bob Turner and Councilwoman and Chair of the Transportation Committee to move. You have in front of you item number 7 that would go to the consent agenda. We do not have any items under the consent agenda at this time, and these are simple items, and it's what the consent agenda is made for. And if you'll look at that real quick, I'd like to move those items from out of the Transportation Committee report, A, B, C, D, E, F, and N, and move that to under the number 7, the consent agenda.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dempsey Lambert, second by Ms. Fontenot. A discussion on those. If a councilman has a problem with any of those, we can take it up at the consent agenda time. Hearing no discussion, any objection? Hearing no objection, we'll move that to agenda item number 7. Okay, we'll move now the public comment period. If anyone wishes to speak on any of our agenda items, please sign a public speaking card, give it to our secretary, Ms. Patterson, and she will give it to me, and we will allow you 3 minutes to speak on that item. We'll move now to presentations. We have a presentation tonight from Mr. Tommy Kirks dealing with the Lamar-Dixon Economic Impact presentation. Mr. Kirks.
Good evening. Parish President Hughes, Councilman Chairman Valentine, rest of the council. Tommy Kurtz, President and CEO of the Ascension Economic Development Corporation. We're here tonight to give a report on the economic impact of the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. AEDC was approached at the beginning of this year to look at doing an economic impact analysis of the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. We contracted with the LSU Division of Economic Development, which both was paid for by the Parish and SMG, to look at the programs and events out at the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. And tonight we have Deck Terrell with the LSU Division of Economic Development to give that report, and we have a presentation. I think Ozzy has a copy of it. If not, I have another copy of it. And we actually have copies of the report also to give out. And we should have a PowerPoint presentation also. Dazan, do we have it coming up, do you know? Do we have it? Does Ozzy have the PowerPoint? Oh, no, I have, okay.
amazing to see our technology department work under pressure.
Smooth.
By the way, since we have dead air, welcome back, Mr. McConnell from France.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine. Oui, je parle français.
I could tell a joke if you like. That's okay.
No, that's all right.
Forward here when we bring that. Okay.
Okay, great. I'm Dak Terrell, Director of the Division for Economic Development at LSU. I want to just take a few minutes to talk about the Lamar-Dixon Impact Study, and I'll feel free to respond to any questions that you have. We also do impact studies for the Baton Rouge Area Chamber and have been working on a variety of studies in the metro area. And we work on a number of studies with UNO, with culture, recreation, and tourism that are related to these tourism intercept surveys like the one I'm going to be talking about here. So let me kind of turn to what we were trying to do. The end goal is to measure the impact, the economic impact of Lamar-Dixon on both Ascension Parish and the state of Louisiana. And when you think about measuring that economic impact, we're going to have to do two things. The first thing we're going to have to do is measure the direct impact in terms of the new dollars that are coming to Ascension Parish as a result of the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. And then the second thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to translate that into economic impact. And anytime you attract new dollars to an area, there's a direct impact, but whenever those individuals bring new dollars and spend at a store in Ascension Parish, that's revenue for the owner of that store. They pay their employees, and then their employees go out and spend it at other stores in Ascension Parish, so there's a multiplier effect. And it's a little like dropping a rock in a pond. There are ripple effects that ripple out through the economy, and that's what we really want to measure. So our methodology is to start with looking at direct spending by the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. That's as simple as looking at financial statements. The second thing, and the biggest part of the impact, is going to come from direct visitor spending. So we're going to have to figure out how much visitors spend when they come to the Expo Center. And we used intercept surveys to estimate spending per visitor, and then we can multiply that by the number of out-of-area visitors to get the total spending of new dollars created. And then we're able to use M-Plan to compute the indirect impact of that spending. If you look at the next table, which is, I think, Table 2 in the paper, these came from survey data, and this sometimes was over several days. It sometimes was a one-day visit to the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center, and what we found is, on average, visitors spent $54 on food and beverages, $49 on shopping, a little over $20 on transportation, so that would include primarily gas, $64.94 on lodging, and we asked them a catch-all category: is there anything you spent that we didn't capture in these other categories? It turned out that was $22 for a total of $211.22. A lot of you would probably guess that this is up from the last time this study was done. Lauren Scott did a study in 2003, and the average spending was under $140. Categories that went up, not surprisingly, transportation, the price of gas is up, and also lodging prices are up. Some of that's the Katrina effect. The hotels were pretty full in 2006, and we see that the prices of lodging are up as well. The next thing we want to do is convert that into total dollars spent. So we know that there are 34,934 people estimated to have visited the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center in 2006. We use 2006 because that's the last year available. There are a couple of things that I should say about that. 2006 is sort of a special year. For the state of Louisiana, we do a study of total visitor spending, and total visitor spending in the state was down about 30%, down from over $10 billion to under $7 billion. That's the Katrina effect and the fact that a lot of our hotels and some of the Ascension Parish hotels were filled even in early 2006, not by visitors of the parish, but by individuals who were working in the reconstruction effort. So you're somewhat limited in the number of visitors you're going to attract. And in 2003, the Lamar Dixon Expo Center attracted almost 170,000 visitors. The center reached 134,000 as of July of this year. So 2006 is going to be a lower year in terms of number of visitors. Nonetheless, because it's the last year, that's the one we use. We estimated that 49% of visitors come from outside the parish. When you do an economic impact analysis, you only want to include new dollars generated for the parish. So we didn't include any spending by anybody who was from Ascension Parish under the assumption that they would have spent it in the parish anyway. That leads by multiplying our average expenditures per visitors times 66,118 visitors from outside the parish to these total expenditures. And we're ready for a punchline here. This is the total number of Ascension Parish sales, $21.4 million of new sales, $7.6 million of earnings, and 379 new full-time annual jobs generated by this spending and its indirect impact. When we calculate the direct and indirect sales tax revenues that are created, and the bulk of that is direct sales on that spending by visitors, that's $866,000, a little over that go to local and parish sales tax revenues. And we did exactly the same calculations for the state. I'm not sure they're as interesting to you, but I'll just show you the numbers. It's $240.91 on average for a visitor that came from outside the state. You'll notice that the Louisiana visitor spending is significantly lower than the Ascension Parish visitor spending. That's because anytime anybody came to Lamar Dixon Expo Center from somewhere else in Louisiana, we have to make the assumption that if they didn't come to Lamar Dixon Expo Center, they might spend that money in their local community. So that's not new money generated for the state of Louisiana when somebody from Louisiana visits. Therefore, only out-of-state visitors are included in those calculations. And I've repeated the same slide twice here. This should read on Louisiana. It's total direct and indirect impact on Louisiana. You'll notice that the impact on the state is a little bit lower, with $9.8 million of sales, $3.2 million of earnings, and 134 jobs, new jobs in the state created. The reason that's lower intuitively is that you're creating more jobs in Ascension Parish, but in some sense by attracting dollars from other parishes, you're moving jobs from other parishes to Ascension Parish. A couple of observations that I'd make about these results and the study in general. The first thing I would say is our impact is very similar to the impact that was found in the earlier study by Lauren Scott for 2003. The reason for that is that there are two offsetting effects. The first effect is that you see higher visitor spending in 2006 than you saw in 2003. That's not surprising if you've gone out and bought gas recently or gone out and stayed in a hotel. Prices are up. The second thing is that attendance was lower in 2006. And attendance was a lot lower than we saw in 2003. It's also lower than 2007 is likely to be. That would say that our estimates are fairly conservative because in a typical year, we're going to expect more attendance than we got in 2006. The other thing that's important to say when you do an impact study like this is that the only thing that we're measuring is economic impact. And as an economist, we like to put a number on everything and say that this is the key thing to look at. However, for something like the Lamar Dixon Expo Center, we're going to, if you attract a corporate retreat from out of the parish and they spend money in the parish, that's going to have a positive economic impact. If you have an event that a lot of people from the parish attend and it doesn't attract anybody from outside the parish, even if there's a lot of enjoyment, it's a very useful event, it's going to have absolutely no economic impact. So I think it's important to note that we don't seek in any way to quantify the value of the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center to citizens inside Ascension Parish. We're focusing on the economic impact by bringing dollars from outside the parish. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Any questions of Mr. Terrell? Any comments? Yes, Mr.
Yeah, Mr.
Lambert.
Terrell, on the amount of taxes collected, $866,000, was there any way you could split that far as what went to the city and what went to the parish?
Yeah,
Because, all our hotels are in the city, the restaurants are in the city, and, most of our businesses are in the city limits. So I was just curious if y'all broke that down.
we didn't break that down, and the reason we didn't break that down is because we didn't ask the individuals at the time, where did you spend this money? We could make some sort of assumption that all the spending for restaurants or all the spending in this category were in this area. The other problem we have is that our input-output tables are on a parish level. So I don't have an input-output table to say what's the impact on Gonzales.
Thank you.
Yes, any other questions? Yes, Mr. Hillsback.
Yeah, just one comment. I guess if you're listening to your reasoning, your argument could be made that if an event was not held at Lamar-Dixon, then our local people, instead of going to Lamar-Dixon, would go elsewhere to Alexandria, Rapides Coliseum, Monroe, and they would spend those local dollars up there as well. Correct?
Sure, absolutely. And if we changed
So
our
it'd be a negative
assumption,
impact on the parish in that respect.
there have been some impact studies. I think there was one that was done for the casinos in the state. And the Riverboat Casino study, one of the questions they asked is how often would you go outside the state to gamble if there were not casinos? And they actually tried to quantify that. But our standard methodology in impact studies is to try to be as conservative as possible. And you start creating a fairly long survey instrument when you say, how much did you spend on these 5 things in Ascension Parish? How much did you spend on these 5 things in Louisiana? How much would you have spent? And there starts to be a little bit of conjecture, and we find that it's better to be conservative and just simply say, if these people didn't spend at Lamar-Dixon, they would have gone to a movie in the parish or something else.
Yes, any other questions? Mr. Terrell, the hotel occupancy rate, what is the rate of occupancy in Ascension Parish as compared to year-round? In other words, you point out the fact that they stay in the hotels and people work in the hotels. And so,
Sure.
Did you do anything on the study on whether they stay, the occupancy is 90% of the year, or anything that you didn't figure in it?
We didn't do anything specifically with occupancy rates. We have looked a lot at overall state occupancy rates and know that they were really high in early 2006. I haven't checked Ascension Parish, but I would assume in early 2006 they were at the 90% or higher level. I'm not sure, that's definitely fallen since then.
Well, and the only reason I say that is I work in local industry, and when we have people that fly in to visit industry, they have a hard time staying in Gonzales because the hotels were very short on hotel space. So therefore, they stay full whether, there's an event or not. And that's what I was asking. I'm sorry, you want to say something on that?
I was just going to say, talking to the Tourist Commission, I know in the last few months, maybe beginning of the year to the middle part of this year, at least I heard some numbers around 80%, 90% average occupancy.
Also, and the study doesn't address this either, but it was simply the fact that it's government owned. You mentioned casinos a while ago. Naturally, they're privately owned. They're not publicly owned. Whereas the Lamar-Dixon, at the present time, we have the management people in place, which essentially is publicly owned, and the facility is publicly owned. Do you have any idea or any figures on the fact whether it would be privately owned, how much more taxes the parish, since it does sit in the parish part, would collect from it?
Well, the main thing that generates the taxes is the visitor spending. So unless it's the case that a privately owned facility would attract more visitors, you shouldn't have a big difference in terms of the calculation of the actual tax revenue that's collected.
Well, I'm speaking more.
You may want to bring that up. Some of the expenditures that were at Lamar-Dixon.
Yeah, we did include Lamar-Dixon expenditures in our calculation, but they were small relative to the visitors.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Make sure I understand you, sir. Am I correct in understand what you presented to us, that between the impact on the state and the impact on the parish for new sales. It's a little over $30 million.
In terms of sales,
Yes. On page 11, table 6, you have $21,406,629. And on the next page, for the Louisiana parish sales, you have $9,007,000.
right. I would not add those two numbers up because the sales in the state are included in the sales in the parish.
Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure we clarify that. So,
Right. Thanks.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kurtz.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 6, Parish President's Report. Parish President Ronnie Hughes.
This is going to be very short. If I leave early, it's because I just had a son and a daughter-in-law and a new grandson come home from the women's hospital. So I love the parish and I love you guys and gals, but it's been over 5 years since I've rocked a grandbaby, so I would like to be there sometime tonight, depending on how long this meeting lasts. So happy to report that to the council. And,
Congratulations.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's really all I have.
Okay, good. All right, we'll move. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Grandpa.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move now to the consent agenda. The consent agenda.
Second.
Consent agenda has one item. Councilman Barriga moves, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, any opposition? So moved. And item number 8, the Utilities Committee Chairman, Jared Barriga. Councilman Barriga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Utilities Committee unanimously recommended that we approve a contract for Country Ridge of $176,000. In that contract, the tasks are as follows. Site power evaluation of pump station design, bidding services, construction administration services, and also public outreach services. And I'll offer a motion.
Moved by Councilman Barriga, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson. Discussion. Mr. McConnell.
Contract with whom, please?
Montgomery Watson, excuse me.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Lambert.
Mr. Signet, was everything cleared on this since the meeting, utility meeting? Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. We'll move now to 17C, which is moved under 8, which will be the resolution with the LCDBG Hillaryville Sewer. Mercedo. And Mr. Roberto.
Chairman, President, members of the council, a quick item on the Hillaryville Sewer Project. We recently discovered that when the contractor submitted his first invoice, we couldn't find his name in any of the resolutions awarding the contract to him. So it's basically a resolution to amend the minutes of the meeting of December 21st, 2006 to reflect that the low bidder was Patterson Construction, LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer that motion pending legal's review.
Moved by Councilman Barriga, second by Councilman Thompson. You have the resolution in front of you. Any other discussion? Pending attorney's review, Mr. Bouquard. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Roberto. We'll move now. Mr. Savoy does have the Personnel Committee. Do you have anything? Because I know you met yesterday. Is there anything that...
We did meet yesterday, and we will be coming to the council in the next meeting with recommendations.
Thank you. Agenda item number 10, we're going to pass on that. Mr. Joseph does not have a summary on that. We'll move now to agenda item number 11, Transportation Committee, Chairwoman Cheryl Fontenot. Ms. Fontenot.
Thank you, Councilman Valentine. We had an extensive transportation meeting, as you can see by the items, and we moved half of them to consent agenda so we wouldn't be too long. We want to commend our new director, Mr. Bob Turner, who had worked really hard to bring us a whole lot of roads that we would do some projects. And so we're going to start with item number G, which is an approval to bid Joe Severio Road Improvements Project.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Kent Check Snyder. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
We have item number H, which is an approval to bid the 2006 in-house road construction project.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Shake Snyder, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
We have item I, which is a speed cushions pilot. Mr. Bob recommended a couple of areas where we could try these new speed cushions to reduce the speed in subdivisions, and this is a pilot.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Shake Snyder, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
Item number J is to approve the 2007 in-house road list. The road list, we had already added it and amended our list at the transportation, so that's complete. All we need to do is approve this road list. However, what's not on here was, Mr. Bob, we approved a road striping list also, and that is going to be part of the 2007 in-house list, so I would ask that somebody would make a motion to amend it to include it.
Okay, we'll get the motion for the in-house project, then we'll amend it if you don't mind, Council.
Move to adopt the in-house project.
Moved by Councilman Shake Snyder, second by Councilman Joseph. You did have that in your packet dealing with the striping, and it was just an oversight and it wasn't on the agenda, but Mr. Joseph moves to amend to add the striping to the in-house.
Yes, sir.
Second by Councilman Shake Snyder. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
Item number K, 2007 Phase 1 project. Mr. Bob brought us a whole list, and it was a big list, so we divided it into two, and we awarded the first project number 1 to PEC.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Shake Snyder, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? Mr. Hillensbeck objects. So moved.
Item number L, 2007, project number 2. We did not have a recommendation from the committee. It was a split vote, and so we're leaving it to the committee here, the council, to make that decision. We did have a meeting with one of the engineering companies to find out about some road projects that have not been completed. And we had a good meeting. We asked what we could do from the council standpoint to move these projects. And so my recommendation is that we go with Evans Graves. And I make that motion.
Mr. Fontenot moves for Evans Graves. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition to the motion?
Object.
Object.
Okay, we'll have a roll. We'll have a roll call. Suzanne, please call a roll.
Councilman Joseph.
Object.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Object.
I'm sorry, what?
No.
Councilman Thompson.
Object.
Councilwoman Fontenot.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Savoy.
Yes.
Councilman Hillensbeck.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman McConnell.
No.
Councilman Barraga.
No, ma'am.
That's 7 nays and 3 yeas.
Okay, motion fails for Evans Graves.
Mr. Council.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to award the contract to GSA.
Second.
Councilman Shake Snyder moves to award to GSA, second by Councilman Martin McConnell. Discussion.
Discussion.
Mr. Savoy.
Council, this particular issue right here has been a primary reason why this council has seemed to fight and be separated and split for many, many years. I have to explain why I'm going to vote the way I do on this particular project. For years now, we've been doing business with GSA. There are multiple projects dating back to 2000 that this parish has lawsuits on with this particular company. I'm going to read some of them out. We got a walking jogging trail around Santa Monica Park that we let out in January 2003. In that particular project, there's a little bulkhead wall 30 inches tall, thereabout, plus or minus a few inches, that is fell in. It failed very shortly after they finished the construction. We had numerous discussions and meetings with this particular failed project. The contractor finally did go back out and repair and put the wall back up. Not long after they put the wall up the second time, the wall fell in again. Mr. Chairman, if I may I go to the podium up there so I can share some pictures with the council? As you can see from that particular view right there, you can see right here some of the failure right here. All right. This is another view of it. This is another view of it. Okay. That started off back in January of 2003. You know where these blocks are today? We, the parish, had to go out and pull the blocks out of Babin Canal and put them on the banks. They stayed on the banks for months and months. Finally, we got them to move the bricks from the bank of Babin Canal. I don't know where the blocks are today, but I know they're not where they're supposed to be. Now this is roughly a 30-inch little bulkhead wall that the parish went out and got a grant for to do this project, and we had some in-house money that was put onto this. I just want it fixed, and I feel like we need to get it fixed. We had to sue. Even though we sued, here we are 2007, and it's still not fixed or rectified. I don't know where we're at with it. I've brought it up numerous times since 2003 to try to get some answers and get a complete project, but to today, it's not. I can't tell you where it's at in litigation today. All I can tell you is that GSA was the engineering contractor, the design engineer, and was the project manager overseeing this project in the best interest of the parish. That's one failed project that we have a lawsuit on as we speak today, dating back to, and I've got November of 2000. That may be whenever we awarded the contract to them. Okay. So it may go back further than 2003. Another project that the parish spent roughly $480,000 on. This right here is the Henderson Bayou Gate. Okay, the swirling that you see is the backside of the gate that fell 4 hours into its use. The first 4 hours that we put it in service, that's what it looked like. It undermined it, the sheet piles, and started flowing back into the Henderson Basin area. I've got April 2000 on this one right here. There's a lawsuit on this thing. We still have not taken care of this project. We have dealt with this and brought it up and tried to move it forward. And for whatever reasons, here we are, 2007, a $480,000 failed project, still stagnant by the same engineering company. Roger C. Road Bridge. As you can see here, the bridge is fairly low. We awarded GSA this contract. In the contract, it states a couple of things here. What happened is, once the bridge was built, there were some boaters that tried to get their rather small boats under the bridge and had trouble. They started looking into it, and they made a complaint to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard comes into the parish and sends the parish a letter stating that we're in violation by not getting some permits and following their guidelines and as far as building this particular bridge. We were backed up in a position where the Coast Guard sent a letter to the attorney, and I'll read it to you. I must reiterate, the parish is facing severe penalties as a result of its failure to obtain Coast Guard approval. The parish faces a possible fine of up to $1,100 a day since October 2000 until the problem is rectified. Whenever I received notice of this, I went to the council and I asked the council to please move forward with us rectifying the problem, and so that we could get out of this possible fine of $1,100 a day. As a result, we did. We moved in and we started construction of the bridge, and we started raising the bridge. As you can see, some construction here, raising the height of the bridge to satisfy the Coast Guard so that we could get out from under the potential fine. From our attorney, legal attorney, sent to the council, says, I do see sufficient grounds for pursuing this matter against GSA pursuant to the contract, and she identifies 3 bullet point sections of the contract that was breached. In essence, we paid for the bridge once, then we had to come back and pay for the bridge the second time with taxpayers' dollars. Today, I've got February 1999. It's 2007. We still have not received or come to a conclusion on that particular lawsuit with GSA. Veterans Park. We contracted with GSA to go and do some work on Veterans Park. If you go and talk to the veterans, you will find that the veterans are very disgruntled with the project, finished project out there. It came down to, after the project was done, on May of 2003, we ended up passing a resolution putting an additional $10,000 into that fund so that they can go and get the sprinkler system working, something that was included in the contract. Okay, that to me was another failure. To top it off, once I brought, there's another lawsuit that we just settled, which is the bulkhead failures, multiple bulkhead failures. Specs call for 18-foot sheet piles. We pull some up there 15-foot. Same engineering firm. Okay? Now, after I bring several of these issues to the forefront several years ago, the owner of GSA elects to put a letter to the editor attempting to blast Jerry Salvor for bringing some failed projects to the forefront. All I'm doing is protecting taxpayers' dollars. He goes on to, as far as saying, we are currently exploring our legal options against these kinds of serious attacks on our reputation. I take that as a threat that I've done something wrong, or I misled the public, or I lied. No, sir, I did not. All I've done was brought some facts to the table. That's it. Now, with that, Jerry Salvor was not out to close GSA's doors. I wasn't. If you go back and look at my record, it will show that I have supported giving GSA some work since that time. Okay? Now, here's a list of projects that GSA is currently involved in and have contracts to do. You got Phase 2B of the turn lane improvements, which is Ascension 929 at 61, Blake Bayou Extension at 44, LA 621 and 61. Phase 2C of the turn lane improvement projects, Duplessis Road at 61, Causey, Merritt Evans at 44. You got D, you got Roddy Road at 61. You got Roddy Road bridges that they got. You got Westworthy Road Bridge. You got Cannon Road widening. You got Highway 44 walkway project. You got Boudreaux that's finishing up and still on. You got Hillaryville sewer. And they got the ACUD water works projects. So as you can see, it's not like this council does not support GSA. Okay, although some may ask why when we still have pending lawsuits on failed projects. Now, in politics, you try to compromise. And we knew that this was coming up. Everybody around the table knew that this issue was coming up, and I was approached by a councilman telling me that I need to try to work out a compromise and give me a suggestion. And I ran on that suggestion. Well, here we are tonight. That suggestion failed. Suggestion was that this particular road project, that we split it amongst two firms. One was Evan Graves, along with partnering with GSA. All right, that was a compromise. But as it turns out, doesn't look like that's going to happen. But that's the reason why you're going to see Jerry Salvor vote against a local firm. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Salvor. Any other discussion? Ms. Fontenot.
I just wanted to say, because of the fact that we do have 4 lawsuits and numerous unfinished projects, that this does not allow me at this time to support another project. And therefore, I can't support it either.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Mr. Hillensback.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think it'd only be appropriate to recognize Mr. Shaheen and offer him an opportunity to address the council, and if he would like to do so.
No, sir, it's not appropriate. He could have signed up for the public speaking card before the meeting. He didn't do that. Mr. Salvor is an elected official.
Yes.
He can speak. You have spoken in the past, okay? And he has spoken his word. You got something you want to add to it? Add.
Yeah, let me add that. I don't think Mr. Shaheen realized he was going to be blindsided in the meeting. So I just, again, think it would only be fair as a local citizen, local taxpayer, local businessman, to address these charges and back to if you'd like to do so. It's just
Mr. Hillsback, they're not charges. We actually have suits that are filed. I didn't hear any charges.
Right.
It's my determination that I'm not going to allow
Well,
that.
I guess the last thing, Mr. Valentine, I'd say is that there's a lot of suits go on in this country, and last time I checked, you were innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So I would hope that everyone would take that into consideration. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Just one comment.
Yes.
Mr. Buquar, would you please get the administration a copy of all these lawsuits and the status? It sounds like this has been going on way too long. Should have been resolved. If I understood Mr. Sybor, some of these go back 8 or 9 years. I just don't understand why this is not being resolved by the district attorney's office and the lawyers that represent the parish. Because I know we've been in numerous executive sessions since this council and myself have been in office, and I think Mr. Sybor makes a valid point that we need to have this stuff come to conclusion. So, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilman Barron.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion that we give this project to Evans Graves and split it with Volkert and Associates.
Mr. Berger has made a substitute motion for Evans Graves and Volker and Associates. Do I hear a second? Hearing no second by Ms. Fontenot. Discussion. Any objection?
I object.
Mr. Thompson? Roll call, Ms. Patterson.
Councilman Joseph.
Against. No.
Councilman Shakespeare.
No.
Councilman Thompson.
No.
Councilman Fontenot.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Savoy.
No.
Councilman Hillensback.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman McConnell.
No.
Councilman Barrow.
Yes, ma'am.
2 yeas.
Okay. The substitute motion fails. We'll now vote on the original motion. Any objection to the original
Objection.
motion? Mr. Barriga, Mr. Savoy, Mr. Lambert, Ms. Fontenot, any objection? The chairman also objects. Motion passes. To or GSA. Right. Okay, we'll move on now to M, Turn Lane Project, Volker and Associates.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by
Mr. Barger.
Mr. Barriga. Any discussion? Any opposition? Yes. I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to get
Okay.
to split it between Volker and Evans Graves.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Thompson in a substitute motion to
split it
split
between
the
Evans Graves
Turn-In
and Volker.
Lane project between Volker and Evans Graves. And who seconded? Mr. Hillensback? Who
Second.
Mr. Savoy. Discussion. Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This turn lane project is very small. I think it's probably a $1.4 million project, and to split it into 2 engineering firms, I don't see it to be justifiable or feasible to do so. You know, it got cut back. It was 2 point something, and it got cut back because we moved some stuff around, and right now it's at $1.4 million for this turn lane. So to split it, I think would be, you know, not right. I think it's way too a minimum project to split. So I'm against that.
Okay. Somebody else? Mr. Shakespeare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo Mr. Lambert and Mr. Turner, and I guess go toward Mr. Turner. We had initially started at $3.5 million with turning lanes, and things were changed to different lists, so we're down to about 1.3. And in our discussions in the committee meeting, I think you suggested that we initially wished to split this to get other people involved. And do you think it's at a point now where where we need to keep one group, or is it big enough to split it off?
It's my opinion that the type of work that's being done is very similar among all of the projects, and probably we would be more efficient and effective if one firm did those like projects.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Any other discussion? Vote on the substitute motion. Any opposition to the substitute motion?
Object. Object.
Let's
Object.
roll call on the substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, substitute motion is
To split the, Mr. Thompson made it, Ms. Savoy seconded, to split it between Evans Graves and Volker Associates.
Councilman Davis.
No.
Councilman Chase Knight.
no.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fontenot.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Savoy.
Yeah.
Councilman Hillensback.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman McConnell.
No.
Councilman Barada.
No, ma'am.
Okay, substitute motion fails. We'll now vote on the original motion. Any objection to the original motion? Hearing no objections, motion passes.
Okay, we passed on N. We did that under the consent agenda. Item number O is a change order for the 205 road project. Mr. Bob, you want to handle that one?
Thank you very much. Chairman Valentine, President Hughes, members of council. I'm Bob Turner, Director of Public Works. I'm bringing to you change order number 3, 4, and 5 for the 2005 road project that's essentially complete at this time. This particular change order was initiated back in October and November of 2006. We were actively working on a number of the projects, and we encountered fluoride, and at the Transportation Committee we had quite a discussion on this matter, but essentially we have to remove the fluoride and to stabilize the subsoil under these roads, and as a result we had to enter into an extensive change order in order to do that. There are actually 3 change orders that involve a number of roads, and the total of the 3 is approximately in the $355,000 range. This was brought before the Transportation Committee on May the 8th, and I brought it extremely early, just as soon as I found out what it was. I thought I had an obligation to inform the Transportation Committee as quickly as I could. We've just now got the final change order signed by the contractor, so I wanted to bring that as quickly as I could to the council. And I know there was a lag between the May meeting for the transportation and the council meeting, but essentially we needed that time to complete the paperwork. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have on the matter.
Any questions? Mr. McConnell?
No, it's more of a comment,
Sure.
and through my travails in Lake Park subdivision that you're all well aware of, I'm well aware of what has gone on with the fluoride on the base of this road. And it's my understanding that had all the design people been aware of the fluoride in the first place, that this would have been the actual cost of the roads. That this is not out of reason. That's what we would have paid in the first place had they gone ahead and planned. So I'd like to offer a motion that we accept that change order, these change orders.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion or any questions of Mr. Turner?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry, comment?
Bob, would you please include in specs going forward that there's a possibility of fluoride in all Ascension Parish roads, and that we get these soil samplers and these professional engineers to be aware of this up front? I've had enough of change orders. I've heard about fluoride now for months. And I think every citizen knows we got fluoride. It was bought many years ago. So whatever we have to do for them to understand up front when they're going to put a bid in that this is a possibility, They need to consider that, because I think the other day with the engineering contract, it was $200-something thousand change order on 2 roads. Now I found out this morning in staff meeting, it's $300-something thousand on change orders on these parish roads. I think 105,000 people in this parish know that we have fluoride in many of these roads. So get the URS and whoever else involved in this to put that in there, that we have fluoride potential fluoride problems. And to please consider that up front in their bidding process, okay?
Yes, sir, we will. I would
Mr.
like
Turner.
to add a comment. Councilman McConnell really made a very good point. Once we encounter the fluoride, whether we encounter it at the outset, which I would much rather we did, or we encounter it as a change order during construction, the cost will essentially be the same to remove it. And so I'd like the situation where if we knew where it was, somehow we could avoid it. But in fact, if we do, encounter it, it must be removed. So, but I certainly understand the point that you're trying to make. Yes, sir.
And don't take it personally, Bob. You weren't
won't.
here, I understand, but this has been going on now for a long time. So we've got to address this up front.
The concern that I have is fluoride has been commonly used in the past, and I think we're going to see fluoride symptoms occur on a number of parish roads. When this one particular change order came out in October and November, the estimate for correcting it was approximately $500,000, $500,000. So the engineers and the staff got together and said there's got to be a better way. And so they looked at what they actually felt like they had to remove and what they could cover over and not get down to it and put on additional asphalt. And as a result, they actually lowered that initial estimate by over $100,000. So I can assure you that we are trying to recognize where it is and trying to deal with it without having to completely take it all out. But I'm afraid that we will have other situations like this in the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. All right. Okay, any other discussion? Mr. Hillensback.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Turner, I just want to let you know that I had suggested previously to Mr. Rue, the former DPW director, that we direct the soils testing companies to double up and do additional borings. And I think that would help alleviate some of that problem. Just have them double the number of soil borings, and let's make sure that the engineers are reading the reports. Because the reports, it has reported that all along, that there is fluoride in the roads.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. Ms. Fonda?
Councilman Valentine, we had an extensive meeting, and that's obvious. So we won't go into any other summary. We had the summary tonight, but I do want to remind everybody that we do meet the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 following the utility committee in this building. You're all welcome to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fontenot. We're moving now to strategic planning. I don't have anything under there. Ms. Shexna, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, I hadn't had a chance to look. Obviously, just got back in, and I was looking for where it was put on the agenda about the. I'm sorry, it's some finance. Thank you.
You search that. Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 13, Finance Committee. Chairman Jared Barrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 13A, Downtown Development Corporation. They came to the Finance Committee, made a presentation asking for us to put up to $25,000 pending legal review.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And that was a unanimous recommendation of Finance.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you motion that?
We had a motion by Mr.
Moved by Mr.
Hillensback, I believe.
Hillensback, second by Councilman Savoy. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved. Councilman Barrier.
We had a question there, Mr. Chairman. 13B, contracts. Number 1, intergovernmental agreement between parish and sheriff to share revenue received on completion of jail project.
Second. Moved by Councilman Shakespeare, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes? Sure. Mr. Malcolm Dugal, one of our bonding attorneys. Yes, Mr. Malcolm.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, and parish president, at the Finance Committee meeting, it was brought to our attention that this contract was coming up for approval, and since that time, I have taken a look at the contract and talked with Sheriff Wiley. I don't know if y'all had a copy of the contract in your packet. The substance of that contract has not changed, but there's been some changes as to the form, and I submitted that to Chief Deputy Bacala today, and he's going to review it and get back to me, but there will be no change as far as the formula is concerned as to how the monies are going to be shared. It's just some changes as far as the form and some other items that are made, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay.
And I would ask that once it's gotten back to me with the sheriff's comments, that I will submit it back to the council and to the chairman.
Okay. I would suggest that we pass on this agenda item tonight, since there is a question on here. Okay. We will pass on this agenda item, if that's right. The motion has been withdrawn. We will wait till you and Chief Deputy Bacala iron out the details. That way, all councilmen will know exactly what we have.
But it is in accord with the
that's no problem, Malcolm.
negotiation.
We will wait. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for withdrawing.
13B3, sublease agreement between the Parish of Ascension and YMCA.
Motion.
Moved by Councilman Savoy.
Second.
Second by Councilman Joseph. Discussion.
Yep.
Any opposition? So moved.
And Mr. Chairman, I apologize, I skipped 13B2.
Okay.
Contract for professional services between Wanda August, Counselor for Ascension Parish School Board, and Parish of Ascension for the Strengthening Families Program.
Motion by Councilwoman Fontenot, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Discussion. Councilman Savoy.
Correction, Ascension Parish substance abuse. Not Ascension Parish School Board.
That's Ascension Parish substance abuse. Any other discussion? Any opposition? So moved. B4.
13B4, cooperative endeavor agreement between Parish of Ascension and DHH for the lease of 3 vehicles to the state.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Savoy, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
13B5, agreement, DHH WIC program and Ascension Parish.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Barriga. We'll move now to the general business section of our agenda. Agenda item number 14, bids. Ms. Bonnie Burrell, Purchasing Manager. Ms. Bonnie.
Good evening. We accepted bids on July 10th for box culverts. This bid is to include the drainage board also, the drainage department. We recommend accepting the low bid from Capital Concrete Products.
Capital who?
Concrete Products.
Concrete.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman McConnell. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
On July 3rd, we accepted bids for road and bridge equipment. The recommended bid is for each item, the low bid on each item.
And who were the low bidders on each item?
On the case excavator, which is item number 1, the low bid was from State Machinery. On item number 2, it was Scott Construction. And on item number 3, it was Covington Environment.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Savoy. Second by, I'm sorry, who moved?
Todd.
Councilman Todd Lambert. Second by Councilman Joseph. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bonnie.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Lambert.
Ms. Burrell, the grade all, when is the expected date of delivery? 45 days?
We have on the specs, they have 90 days.
90 days.
But you could call me and we can check with them and see. It could be earlier than that.
We need this urgent.
Okay. I'll check on it for you.
Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 15, intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Gonzales, Ascension Parish Law Enforcement District, the Ascension Parish Rural Sales Tax, and the Ascension Parish Rural Sales Tax District number 2. This has to do, if you'll remember, gentlemen, you got in your packet, we talked about this, dealing with the Murphy All and the dual capacity. Moved by Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, discussion.
As per Ms. Gwen LeBlanc, she had a meeting with the tax officials and so on this week, and it is their recommendation to amend this agreement that the common area that we're talking about be entered into as the common area number 4. They recommend naming each of these districts.
That's correct.
So I'd like to offer that
As an amendment?
as an
Okay.
amendment to be common area number 4.
Amended by Councilman Barriger, second by Councilman Savoy. Anybody need an explanation of that? We are starting to approve several of these. We will try and get the whole package around the City of Gonzales as one and take care of that as soon as we can. All right, we'll vote on the amendment. Any opposition to the amendment? Okay, we'll vote on the original motion. Any opposition to the original motion? As amended. So moved. Thank you, Councilman Barriger. Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 16. We do have a public speaker on this, Mr. Kamal Zahir. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Kamal.
Mr. Chairman, Parish President, Councilman, my name is Kamal Zahir. I'm the owner of Kamal's Cafe, Airline Highway and 74, and also I'm the president of the Homeowner Association at Cobblestone. I'm here just to show some concern, and I'm asking some information from you all. I have no details about the new project coming across the street from my subdivision. I moved to that area, spent a lot of money. Not just me, everybody moved there. We care about subdivision, we care about property value. We work very hard for every dollar we make. I just want to get some information, what kind of subdivision, what kind of project coming across the street from us. That's what I'm asking for, some details and more information.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kamal. Ms. Font.
We recently passed this SPUD concept, but there was some controversy over some commercial footage. And after talking to several people, it's been recommended that since this is the first SPUD and we're getting into uncharted waters, that we send it back to planning and zoning. And so I move that we rescind previous council action on this item and refer it back to the Planning Commission for review at their next meeting. Specifically, we ask the Planning Commission to review and approve any additions or increases in commercial construction plans.
One second. Moved by Councilman Fontenot, second by Councilman Sheikh Snyder. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Hillensback.
Yes, thank you. We had this discussion at the finance meeting, and if you'll remember, I brought it out that night as well as at the previous council meeting that what the developer presented that night was in his plat design, he had now gone from 17,000 to 35,000 commercial space. As we had some discussion on it then later at the finance meeting, it was brought out, well, this was strictly conceptual and was not final. I went back and reviewed my paperwork, and there was nothing conceptual about it. And I think we may be putting the parish at risk for liability if he's gone forward with final design and final work on his project. So like I say, I brought it up that night. I voted against it that night, and I'm certainly glad, I guess, that it's going back. But I think that there may be some liabilities faced by the people of Ascension Parish by action of this council. Thank you.
Okay. Just to put Mr. Hillensback mind at ease, I have checked with council. The fact that we did not approve the official minutes from the last meeting is also dealing with Robert's Rules of Order. You can reconsider any motion as long as it has not been officially done in the and accepted into the parish minutes. Mr. Thompson, did you want to say something?
Yes, this is what I spoke to you about earlier.
Yes, sir.
And you said that the developer agreed to do the 34,000 square foot of commercial.
No, sir. He has gotten with Mr. Ziegler. Mr. Ziegler can share some information with this. When it came before the council last time, there was a lot of confusion among council members. We had several people from administration tell us that the 35,000 square foot would not work. That's what this council is concerned about, the commercial end of it. Mr. Ziegler.
If you'll remember at the meeting in Donaldsonville last time, the change to 35,000 square feet called staff. Evidently, no one knew there was going to be a requested change until about 5 minutes before the council meeting. And so we were caught somewhat off guard, although doing some quick calculations, it appeared to me that there was no way for them to support 35,000 square foot of commercial on that size lot. Immediately thereafter, when we got back the next day, we did some more calculations, and there are some possibilities. If they really work out, they could do that. However, since then we have met, we got with the developer immediately, let them know what our concerns are. There are other problems too, and that is if you want to double the amount of commercial space, that probably needs adjusted traffic studies and drainage studies, which had not been performed. I met with him. I think some other councilmen met with him and told him what we needed. They have provided new drainage and traffic studies, which I will forward, assuming the council takes the action that I think it will tonight, to our consulting engineer, and at our next P&Z meeting we'll be able to clear all that up.
Any other discussion? Any questions of Mr. Ziegler? Any opposition to the motion? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 17, grants. Ms. Martha Collins. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President Hughes, members of the council. On 17A, we are going to pass on that. The Petco Foundation, at the time we were going to apply for this, we found out it needed to go through a nonprofit, so therefore we will assist for the animal control shelter, but we will not be doing that one.
Okay.
17B is a resolution for 2007 Louisiana Local Road Safety Program. This is a new grant for us. There is a match of 10% on construction, 5% on other projects. We can apply for a maximum of $500,000. I am working with the DPW Director, Bob Turner, to facilitate this, and this is going to be a good program for us. This is the first one we've actually had dealing with our roads and road safety.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman McConnell. Any discussion? Any opposition to the resolution? Hearing none, resolution passes.
And the last one is the Uniform Construction Code implementation. We had this grant last year through our planning department. I'm working with Laverne Bourgeois and Monsiegler to present this. And
that's second.
Okay.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? Resolution so moved.
Okay. And just for the record, that we read that the parish president, we authorize the parish president or Tom Pierce to sign any and execute any contracts, and for all documents pertaining to financial for Gwen LeBlanc, CFO, for financings. Just for the record on that. It's in your packet. It's in there.
Yes,
I didn't know if I needed to read it or not.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Okay, we'll move now to the planning and zoning recommendations. Agenda item number 18. These are introductions of an ordinance only to revoke a 15-foot drainage servitude along the rear property line of Lot 12 and Lot 14 located in Oaks on the Bluff, first filing for Peter Lee Green Construction Incorporated.
I move to introduce the ordinance.
Second.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, introduced, second by Councilman Berger. Any discussion? Any opposition? Excuse me, discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Lambert.
Might be able to draw this to Mr. Ryan Sigler. We got Lot 12 and 14 here that we're going to revoke the back drainage servitude, where we have about 14 more homes that we're not, and somewhere down the line, there's a possibility that we may need this drainage servitude. I know we got a letter from Bill Rue in this package that it was not needed, but we're going to revoke on 12 and 14, but we're not going to revoke on 13 or all the rest in front of it, and it's the same servitude. I'm just, you know, I think they had a little discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I think they finally approved it, but they did have some opposition at first. So just wanted y'all to look at it before we see it at the next meeting.
The council want time to look at it? Any other discussion? Mr. Ziegler.
This particular ordinance, this particular revocation came over from Drainage District, and it was somewhat controversial. These particular lots back up to a lake. A developer came who had purchased 2 of those lots. They're not adjacent to each other, and requested that this drainage easement be revoked. There was quite a bit of discussion. Since it was a drainage easement and it was adjacent to the lake, the majority carried and allowed it to be revoked. However, it does create a strange situation that you have easement, the easement disappears, the next slide it comes back on. You can do with it as you please. I think from a housekeeping standpoint, it's not what I would like.
Okay. And Mr. Ziegler, I'm not putting you on your spot, but
Right.
it does say staff recommend.
Well, that's not correct. The staff did not recommend
Okay.
that. The staff
It
didn't
does say
recommend
that here.
anything at all on that.
All right.
We were all split down the middle ourselves.
All right, yes.
One other thing, since it's, you know, back in the lake, if they ever have to do any maintenance on the lake, they have no way of getting to the banks at that particular point other than
We don't own
barge.
And that was our point. You never know.
You never know what's going to happen down the road.
All right, any other discussion? Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Mr.
Just a
Barrett.
point of information, we don't own the lake, the homeowners association owns
Right.
the lake, and it would be left up to them to maintain their own lake. So if y'all want to
Okay.
look at maybe revoking them all when we actually vote on it, maybe we can do that, or revoke none of them. Just let you know we don't own the lake.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
Sure, I understand this, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
You're saying the Drainage District is recommending this?
It came from the Drainage District originally.
Huh?
It came from the Drainage District originally.
Came
They
from
have,
the Drainage
anytime you're going to revoke a drainage easement, it has to come from the Drainage District first. They have to sign off on it. All those come to planning at that point.
There's a letter in there from Bill.
And it could have been a staff action on the part of drainage too. I don't know where it originated there.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Councilman
would it be in
Sexton.
order to, since there is some questions about this, to table this until the next meeting so that we can get more definitive information from Mr. Ziegler as to what our options are? Because we do have some options here.
I don't know if it has to do with procedural. This is just an introduction.
Right.
And we will have to come back. We can't introduce it because we have a public hearing. Mr. Ziegler, maybe you could answer it. If the fact that we do not introduce, does this, do we have procedures, or do we, as a council, just put off the introduction or delay the introduction?
That's really more of a legal question, but I think you can go ahead and introduce it, and for next time I'll have an overhead graphic that shows you, this is where the easement goes all the way around the lake, and this is what this would effectively do. And my point would be...
We will have a discussion.
We can address
okay,
it.
Thank you, Mr. Ziegler.
I withdraw.
Okay, we still have the motion to introduce. Any objection? Hearing no objection, so moved. We'll move now to agenda item number 19, introduction of an ordinance to revoke a 12-foot servitude extending through tracks on lot C-2-C-A-1-A of the G.T. Owens property in the proposed LaSalle Point subdivision for LaSalle Point Development Corporation. Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Agenda item number 20, zoning review ID 1714-07 for Track Z of Ascension Trace subdivision located on LA Highway 44 for Frankie J. Laporte. This is for review only. We'll move now to public hearings and ordinance. Agenda item number 21, public hearing to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from Conservation C to Business Park BP for zoning review ID 1708.07 for Daystar Investment for track LJG located on the east side of Highway 73, approximately 5,000 feet north of LA Highway 30. Legal counsel, Mr. Buqua, would you read that for us, please?
I will, except that in my packet. The ordinance that is attached to agenda item number 21.
Should have to do with Daystar Investments, sir.
It's from conservation to industrial.
It is conservation to business park.
To business park. Mr. Buqua. Okay.
My packet says industrial.
Mine says industrial as well.
This is supposed to, it's going back to business park.
Here says business park. This one says industrial also. Because the ordinance itself says conservation to industrial.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
Okay.
That is if it says industrial, that's incorrect.
It's supposed to be business park.
That is incorrect.
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order.
Hang on one second. Hang on. The title of the agenda item does say business park,
right,
but the ordinance itself does say industrial.
Can you simply strike the word industrial and insert business park when you read it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can. We can, as a point of order, he can read this ordinance as is, and then we can offer a motion with an amendment to it.
It is business park.
Okay, we must be very sure of this now. It is business park, Mr.
It is
Ziegler,
business park.
instead of industrial. Okay. So the agenda item is correct. It is stated wrong in the ordinance. Mr. Buqua, if you go ahead and read that, and then we will entertain a motion to change it.
Ordinance purpose to amend the Ascension Parish Development Code land use maps by rezoning a certain parcel of land from Conservative C to Business Park BP. Whereas the Parish of Ascension has in effect a comprehensive plan of zoning, and pursuant to that plan, a parish-wide development code was adopted by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority, which became effective on June 1st, 1999. Whereas the Ascension Parish Development Code provides for a procedure for the amendment to allow the rezoning of property to a different classification, whereas the herein below described property is located as such that the rezoning the property is in conformity with adjacent land uses, in conformity with the general land use plan of the parish, not injurious to adjacent properties, and fully meets the qualifications for rezoning set forth under Louisiana law, be it ordained that the following described property be rezoned from Conservation C to Business Park BP, zoning review ID 1709.07, track LJG for Daystar Investment, located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 73, approximately 5,000 feet north of Louisiana Highway 30, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from Conservation C to Business Park BP, and being more fully described as follows: a certain tract of land located in Section 50, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Ascension Parish, Louisiana, being more particularly described as follows. From a point of reference, POR commenced at the southeast corner of track LJG-2, then proceed north 42 degrees 27 minutes 27 seconds west, a distance of 2,166.50 feet, to the southeast corner of track LJG-2, which is the point of beginning, POB. From said point of beginning, proceed south 45 degrees 00 minutes 45 seconds west, a distance of 1,624.63 feet, to a point. Thence north 45 degrees 26 minutes 12 seconds west, a distance of 2,727.92 feet, to a point. Then north 41 degrees 13 minutes 18 seconds east, a distance of 1,307.71 feet, to a point. Thence north 47 degrees 52 minutes 01 seconds west, a distance of 583.51 feet, to a point.
thence 42 north 42 degrees 58 minutes 45 seconds east, a distance of 150.24 feet to a point, then south 44 degrees 38 minutes 03 seconds east, a distance of 590.33 feet to a point, thence 41 degrees 13 minutes and 03 seconds east, a distance of 204.45 feet to a point, then south 45 degrees 09 minutes 52 seconds east, a distance of 1,766.19 feet to a point, then south 42 degrees 27 minutes 27 seconds east, a distance of 1,071.74 feet to a point, which is the point of beginning. The above described tract contains 107.40 acres, more or less, District 3.
Motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by Councilman Barriger, second by Councilwoman Fontenot. Open the public hearing. Anybody opposed to open the public hearing? The public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item, please approach the secretary and sign in. You'll have your 3 minutes to speak on this agenda item.
Motion to close.
Second.
Mr. Thompson moves that we close the public hearing, second by Councilman Barriger. Any objection? Public hearing is now closed. 22, the ordinance.
Move the ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Barriger, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. McConnell.
An amendment. I would like to offer an amendment that we approve it as it was read for business park instead of as is printed for industrial.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, the amendment, second by Councilwoman Fontenot. Any discussion on the amendment? Councilman Todd Lambert.
Not so much on the amendment. Mr. Ryan, did we have any opposition going from conservationists to business park on this particular piece of property?
Any opposition whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
That piece of property was industrial and got rezoned commercial, I think, conservation about 3 years ago. It was business park.
Okay. Hang on. Okay. Hang on. Mr. Lambert.
That's the only question.
That's okay.
No controversy whatsoever.
That's great. That's all the discussion we need. Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? Anybody oppose the amendment? Okay, we'll now vote on the ordinance as amended. Any objection? No objection. The ordinance passes. We'll now move to agenda item number 23, a public hearing to adopt the millage rates for the tax year 2007. Mr. Buchwald.
This is an ordinance, be it ordained that the following millages are hereby levied on the 2007 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by the Council of the Parish of Ascension, Louisiana. Parish tax, 2.86. Parish tax Donaldsonville, 1.43. Parish tax Gonzales, 1.43. Health, 2.0. Mental health, 2.0. Library maintenance, 4.2. Library maintenance number 2, 2.6. Lighting district number 1, 5.0. Lighting district number 2, 1.0. Lighting district number 3, 5.0. Lighting district number 4, 5.0. Lighting district number 5, 5.0. Lighting district number 6, 5.0. Lighting district number 7, 5.01. Lighting district number 8, 0. East Ascension drainage, 5.0. West Ascension drainage, 5.33. West Ascension drainage number 2, 4.67. Parish Council on Aging, 1.5. Be it further ordained that the proper administrative officials of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, be and are hereby empowered and authorized and directed to spread said taxes as hereinfore set forth upon the tax roll of the said parish for the year 2007, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to law, and that the taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law.
Motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Councilman Barriger to open the public hearing, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any opposition to the public hearing? Public hearing is now open. Wish to speak on this agenda item, please approach the secretary, sign in. You'll have your 3 minutes.
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing no one, Councilman Todd Lambert moves to close, second by Councilman Barriger. Anybody opposed to closing the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Agenda item number 24, the ordinance.
Move the ordinance, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Barriger moves the ordinance. Councilman Dempsey Lambert seconds. Any discussion? Any opposition? No opposition. It moves. It passes. Thank you. We'll move now to agenda item number 25, public hearing to amend the section 22-30 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances to add as an additional no-wake zone on the diversion canal 300 feet up current on the diversion canal from the public accessible boat dock of the Marina Highlands Restaurant or current name of the establishment, and 300 feet down from the public accessible boat dock on the Pettit River. Councilman Buquois.
Ordinance purpose to amend Section 22-30 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances to add as an additional no-wake zone a portion of Diversion Canal. Whereas the Ascension Parish Council, as a governing authority in and for the Parish of Ascension, finds it necessary to amend Section 22-30 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances to provide portions of Diversion Canal as a no-wake zone. Therefore, be it ordained that Section 22-30 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances be amended to read as follows. Section 22-30, no-wake zones. No person shall operate a motorboat, motor vessel, or recreational watercraft on waterways of this parish in excess of the posted maximum speed limit at that location which, when appropriate signs giving notice thereof are erected, shall be effective at all times or at such specific times as may be directed by the police jury. At any location where a sign has been erected reading idle no wake or no wake zone or language with a similar or similar meaning, the maximum speed shall be 5 miles per hour or less. The maximum speed limit of 5 miles per hour or less are the no wake zones in addition to other areas which may be posted are as follows. 1. Diversion Canal. A. At the location of the Andrew Jaguar on the river or current name of the establishment located at the intersection of the Diversion Canal and Pettit, 300 feet up current on the Diversion Canal from the end of the public accessible boat ramp to the 300 feet down current of Pettit from the end of the public accessible boat ramp.
Motion to open public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by Councilman Barrett, second by Councilwoman Fontenot to open the public hearing. Anybody close public hearing? Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item, please see the secretary, sign in, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Barrett, second by Councilwoman Fontenot to close the public hearing. Any opposition to close the public hearing? No opposition. Agenda item number 26, the ordinance.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilwoman Fontenot. Any discussion? Any opposition to the ordinance? So moved.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Barry to adjourn, second by Councilwoman Fontenot. Ascension Parish Council stands in adjournment.